How you doing, folks? You're watching Onward with Onrie. I'm your host, Onrie Kompan. And this week we're going to be talking about Warrior Month. So in 2 weeks, September kicks off. And throughout this month, I'm going to have different guests come on the show. All of them are martial artists, and they all have their own unique journeys that they're going to share with us. And the reason why I've asked these guys to come on is to basically bring awareness to the correlation between martial arts and the comic book art form. The type of mindset that you need to have, whether you're a martial artist or a comic book creator, is not very different. In order to succeed in this field, you need to really develop a proper mindset in order to exceed whatever vision you have for yourself. And as I discussed in last week's episode about the mindset of the journeyman, everything starts with that vision, right? And what you'll notice about every single guest that I have on the show is that all of them have determination. You know, it all started with the vision for them, and they did whatever it took to make it happen. When they reflect on what they had to go through, they either look upon it with pleasure or they look at it as if doing it meant nothing at all. And it's not just about what it takes to get there, you know, it's also about surpassing the results. It's never finding a resting point. It's making that vision happen for you and looking for ways to expand and improve upon what's already there. And comic book creators have to do this all the time. You know, we can't just be stagnant with what we're doing. You know, we always have to be growing, we always have to be creating, we always have to be thinking about new ways to promote, new ways to market, new ideas, you know, and you want each one to be better than the one prior. And it's absolutely possible so long as you have that determination to make it happen, you know. So that's something that all martial artists have to do as well. If they want to improve and get better and stronger, they have to work hard at it. You know, they can't just, nothing's handed to you, you know. So that's something that I think that if you're paying attention to it, you'll be able to spot these kinds of things. Another thing too is, again, going back to the mindset. All of the guests that I'm going to be having on the show, they see challenges as tests, not barriers. When someone said no to them, or someone said that what they were trying to do couldn't be completed, or the challenges that were presented to them seemed impossible, they didn't look at it as, okay, I can't do it. They didn't throw their hands up and say, all right, I'm done. They worked even harder. You know, they did whatever they could in order to make those, you know, in order to surpass those challenges, to break through those barriers. You know, one of my guests, he came from a communist country, and his whole dream was to come and live in America and make a life for himself. And he'll tell you all about it, but one of the things that I was really inspired by was the fact that he spoke about how he had to take all these odd jobs. You know, he was, you know, doing all kinds of work that most people would roll their eyes at and say, this, you know, this is not work that I want to do. But he came to this country with a few dollars in his pocket and couldn't even speak the language, and took on these jobs and then continued to pursue his vision until he made it happen. And once he got there, it's not like he just said, okay, I'm done, I've arrived, I don't have to work as hard as I did in the beginning. No, you're working harder every single time you make a step forward. Every single time your circle becomes larger, your responsibilities increase. You're doing more work now. But when you're passionate about what you're doing, you're not looking at any of it as work. You know, if you talk to anybody, any avid martial artist who is practicing every day, they don't look at training as something. They look at training as something they can't live without. You know, there may be days where they like it more than others. You know, there could be days where they're injured and tired and, you know, don't want to necessarily be training, but they come in and they do it anyway because this is something that they know will make them stronger. You know, Georges St. Pierre, he's a world famous fighter. And he has this really great saying, you know, you don't get better on the days when you feel like going. You get better on the days when you don't want to go, but you go anyway. If you can overcome the negative energy coming from your tired body or unmotivated mind, you will grow and become better. It won't be the best workout you have. You won't accomplish as much as what you usually do when you actually feel good, but that doesn't matter. Growth is a long-term game, and the crappy days are more important. And the same thing applies to comics. You know, like, there's going to be days when you don't want to do certain things. Like, I got to be honest with you guys right now. My feet are killing me, and my back hurts. And I have 2 conventions back to back. Tomorrow I'm doing Wizard World Chicago. It's a 4-day event. As soon as that show's done, I get 1 day of rest, and then I'm going over to Georgia to work with Dak. We're having a 3-day workshop, and then as soon as that workshop is done, I'm doing Dragon Con. And I'm really worried. It's a lot of work, and I have to move. I packaged up about 2,000 books, and I have to sell them all over the course of 2 weeks, whether I want to do it or not, because this is the goal I set for myself. What am I worried about? You know, the pain I'm in. I mean, I have this condition called plantar fasciitis, and I've gotten like a couple shots in my foot. And every morning I wake up and I'm in just unbearable pain standing up every morning, and the shots so far haven't worked, and there's going to be 1 more round of shots, and if that doesn't work, then I'm going to need surgery on my foot. So I've had to take extra care of myself and try and take it easy, but it's not hard when it's a lot harder when I have these conventions in front of me. And the E-Train is not going to stop. You know, like this weekend, 85,000 books, 70 convention sellouts. I'm not going to let anything stand in my way. I may be concerned about what's going on in my body, but I'm not going to let that stop me from what I'm trying to do. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm not going to ignore that these problems exist. But at the same time, my focus is on doing that. That is the warrior mindset. That's what every single guest that I have come on the show in Warrior Month, they've all had to go through the same thing in some form or fashion in their selected field. And you as a comic book creator are going to be going through your own set of challenges. You know, no one journey is alike. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody's story is unique. Forget what all the skeptics tell you. You know, throw all that stuff out the garbage. We're all just meant to, follow a certain path, and that we need to be realistic. Look, you only live once. If you're unhappy when you get up every morning and have to go into work, you're not going to improve. You're wasting what opportunity you have been given, to live a life that allows you to do whatever you want, to have that freedom of choice. You are robbing yourself of that. Now, everybody's circumstances are different. I, for one, have been privileged in the sense that I have a wonderful support system, and I've had the means to self-publish my own work. Not a lot of people have that ability as easily accessible to them as I have, as I had it. And a lot of them have to work really hard just to get to where I am right now, which I still see myself growing way beyond the point when I'm at right now. 85,000 sales is nothing to me. I want to hit 100,000 sales. I want to hit 1 million sales. And I'll do it. I don't care what it takes. I don't care if I have to hand sell every single goddamn book myself. It does not matter. I will do it, because I have that vision. Nothing will stop me. So it's about having that mindset. I don't look at challenges as something that deters me from what I'm supposed to do. I look at them as opportunities for me to push through the barriers that are in my way. And one day I'll be looking back on it without any regret whatsoever. That despite the pain I was feeling in, I still got out on the convention floor and did what I had to do. And I've had to do it many times. I've had to go to conventions where I've been sick to my stomach and didn't want to be there. I've gone to conventions where I've been hungover, where I'm just not in the mood and tired and not feeling good because I'm away from family. There's all kinds of things that are going on. But when I'm over there and I'm in the moment, it's important for me to focus. And all of these guys, they are masters at it. They are all able to tune off whatever it is that is bothering them from the outside when it comes to training. They are completely focused on what is going on in the moment. If they're in a fight, they're focused on that fight. Nothing else matters. And this brings me to my last point that I want to make about why I think Warrior Month is so important and why I've decided to put it together. All of these guests that I'm bringing on the show, they all have vigor. You know, they always have something to look forward to. None of them are just standing in one place doing the same thing over and over again. They're always trying to improve. They're being creative. Yes, you can be creative in martial arts too, you know, in various kinds of ways. Fighters, they're looking for ways to improve their techniques. They're being creative with it. You know, there are boxers, there are certain fighters who have signature moves that they're known for. That they have a really powerful roundhouse kick, or they're really good at, they have really great ground game. And it's how they pull off the moves and how they manage to get their opponents in those, in those positions, and practicing on it and making it, what it is. This is all important, not just in martial arts, but in comics too. You know, like all the greatest artists that have ever worked in the field have all established themselves in some specific way, but they had roots that they started out in. You know, and the same thing goes with martial arts. You know, like every martial arts school that is teaching you the right way will put a very strict emphasis on the basics, because the basics are really what matters the most. There's only so many ways to throw a punch or throw a kick. You know, mastering that stuff is just as important as doing all the fancy stuff. The fancy stuff honestly doesn't matter. And the same thing goes to comics. If you can't tell a story in pictures, well then, you don't have the basic fundamentals. If you have no sense of, communicating what you're drawing so that every person who looks at it knows what it is. If you're like, I'm drawing a cat, but everybody looks at it and says it's a fish, you're doing something wrong. And it's being able to recognize that and having the vigor and the drive to want to improve upon these things. And, it all requires you to be invested fully, 100%. And when you do that, you're going to enjoy life. And that's the key to it all. If you're not enjoying life, chances are it's not going to last very long. And even if it doesn't last that long, at least you don't have a day where you look back on it and say, you know what, I could have done more. If you're living your life to your full potential, if you're putting everything you have into every day, you're going to appreciate everything that goes on that much more. Every success you have will mean that much more. And that's the purpose of Warrior Month, and why I'm so excited to introduce you to our special guests. I will give you guys more information on this in a couple weeks. Next week I will be on Screamer Mountain with David Anthony Kraft. He's going to be coming on the show, and we're going to be discussing why it takes so long to put out an issue of Yisum Shin. It's going to be an episode that focuses more on the creative production side of what we do on the series, and to kind of give you guys an insight on what we're doing. And this is all leading up to the Kickstarter that we're going to be launching at the end of October, in the beginning of October, on the first day of New York Comic Con. Whoa! So we got a lot going on, as you can see, but it's all exciting and it's all wonderful, and I'm so glad that you guys are here with me on this journey. It means so much to me. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys next week with the new episode. If you're at Wizard World Chicago this weekend, I'm at table D51. Come by, say hi, pick up your books. Give me a handshake, maybe a hug, whatever you feel like doing. I'll see you guys there. Until then, onward to victory.